if you look at the world today, and the dollar has been the dominant currency in the world. And the dollar's dominance came about in the 1960s, 1970s, perhaps a little earlier. But the dollar became the hegemonic currency when they entered into an arrangement with the Saudis, and we then gave the world, or they gave the world, the term petrodollar. So that what then started happening is that the dollar was no longer backed by any gold. The dollar became a fiat currency during the Nixonian era. Oh, I'm saying era and era at the same time. It was an era and an era at the same time. And almost all transactions in the world are terminated in the dollar. And they have used the dollar as an instrument of political and economic control, and that is coupled with the use of institutions such as the IMF and the World Bank. And you remember, the World Bank and the IMF were created in Bretton Woods in New Hampshire in the United States in 1944 by American economists and British economists at that time, as a way of finding funds and deploying funds for the rebuilding of Europe after the World War II. But when African countries became independent, we also found ourselves in that space. So when you hear people saying we want to de-dollarize, they are actually saying we want total independence. And total independence means economic emancipation. People are saying we have been manipulated for too long. We've been controlled for too long. The Americans can print dollars and deploy them anywhere in the world. And it is suggested that nearly 40% of the American dollars is actually circulating outside of the United States of America. So that even when America says that they are the most heavily indebted nation on earth, they are not. In fact, they can just print dollars and pay their debts. So this is a cry by the world that we want change, that freedom must mean that we are capable of trading at levels which are equal, that we can run our affairs without being dictated to. As I speak to you now, if you are in Nouakchott in Mauritania and you want to send money to somebody in Abidjan in La Côte d'Ivoire, the correspondent bank will be in the United States of America or in Paris. How can that be allowed to happen? And then we talk about the sovereignty of the nation. I hear that cry, and I too am a warrior in that struggle. The warrior to de-dollarize and have a completely reconfigured architecture of the world economy. And that is why BRICS, which is now bringing together new countries that are emerging out of the domination of the United States of America, is beginning to make sense. China is in that arrangement. India is in that arrangement. Brazil is in that arrangement. Russia is in that arrangement. South Africa is in that arrangement. And let me tell you, in the next few years, you will see many countries coming into that arrangement with the sole purpose of ensuring that their economies are de-dollarized. And I want to say, part of the reason why you see our economies cannot grow as well and as robustly as they should is because they are shadow economies being controlled like marionettes from Washington, London, Paris, Brussels, and those Western countries.